Hello, everybody, and welcome to Time. I'm going to be your host for today's episode. I'm Tanner Dislin, and I am joined, as always, by my duo, Sam Gotzi. And we're the N326 duo, and we have a great show on tap for you today. Of course, we are 1 week away from the big game. I know all of you are coming off of the high that was the Pro Bowl games. Would have been a lot better if Roger Goodell would have hit up our line like we had suggested, but of course, that didn't happen. But everybody's looking forward to that big game. It is officially Super Bowl week, and we are real excited for it. Sam, how are you doing?
Doing well, man. Like you said, big week, Super Bowl week. It's kind of sad week though. Last football game of the season. So kind,
Really
but
sad.
yeah,
Really sad. But without further ado, we'll get right into the episode here. But of course, before we get to the Super Bowl, we are going to start as we normally do. Sam, give us a winner.
yeah. My winner of episode 81 is none other than the girl putting women's basketball as a whole on her back, and that is, of course, Iowa's own Caitlin Clark. Absolutely going crazy like she has all year. She was named Big Ten Player of the Week for the 5th time this season. That's the 17th time she's been named that in her career, which is the third most in conference history. So why she got named Big Ten Player of the Week? She against number 8 Maryland, she had 42 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds. That was her fourth 40-point performance against an AP ranked opponent, which is as many as any other player over the last 60 or last 20 seasons. And then to top it off, last week, the Hawkeyes went to Penn State and she had a triple double, 23 points, 14 assists, 10 boards, tying her for the second in NCAA women's basketball history with her 9th triple double.
Of the season?
Yeah.
Or of her
I
career?
think of her career, yeah.
I mean, every single night she does something that, I mean, it's like you said, putting women's college basketball on her back right now.
Yeah.
Um, I don't even know how else to put it. She's just an absolute wizard.
Yeah.
Like,
It's insane.
absolutely insane. Please, I implore you, if you haven't watched Caitlin Clark play basketball, either watch Iowa women's basketball, which again, I think with the new AP poll that came out, they're number 5 now, I
I
believe.
believe
So
so.
they are on TV a lot. So it'd be pretty easy to go see a game if you'd like, or just look up a highlight reel or something on YouTube, man. Like Curry range
Yeah.
and Curry handles and like all of that is rolled into one with Caitlin Clark. She is just absolutely ridiculous. So.
Yeah. And she has one more year.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's and she's only a junior. And,
Yeah.
I mean, surely, will this finally be the year that she wins the freaking
You'd
Player of the
think,
Year?
right?
I
I
mean,
know
it's
Aaliyah Boston is kind of in the conversation, but if you go stat by stat, Caitlin
it's-
dominates.
yeah. Our official vote, Crunch Time official vote. This may shock you. 2 Iowa alums are voting for Caitlin Clark for National Player of the Year.
Yeah, and if you want to catch a game, they do play number 2 Indiana on Thursday. So, day of the episode drops, it's at 5:30 Central Time.
Number
So,
2 versus number 5.
yeah, huge.
Not much better than that, man.
Yeah,
So that's who your winner is.
yeah, they do play number 2 Indiana on Thursday. So, day of the episode drops, it's at 5:30 Central Time.
Number
So,
2 versus number 5.
yeah, huge.
Not much better than that, man.
Yeah,
So that's who your winner is.
yeah.
Who you got for a loser?
Loser. I have Duke's women basketball.
This is I cannot believe this.
So, for those of you who don't know, I believe it was early last week, Duke's women basketball coach, Kara Lawson, came out and said the team played with a men's basketball for the first half in a loss to Florida State. And so what's the difference between a women's and a men's? A women's ball is about an inch smaller than a men's ball, and it's typically 2 ounces lighter. Now you might be saying, "Oh, 2 ounces, that's not a whole lot." But when the ball weighs as much as it does, 2 ounces does make a difference. Um,
Huge difference.
so, so supposedly they um, played with a men's ball. Well, their stats do kind of support it, but maybe they're just trash. They shot 7 for 34 in the first half.
I I don't know how someone would make this accusation unless it's true. Like, how
Yeah,
does someone just come out and say, like, I'm pretty confident it's true. I don't think they'll ever
yeah.
come out and make this accusation. And if it's true, which I assume it is, I don't know if there's been a more embarrassing look on a specific
So
sport.
update. Just looking at this, our ACC said following the thorough and objective review process, there was no evidence.
Right? Like, what what's the review
Yeah.
process? Like, hey, you asked the ref, did you use a women's ball? Like, what's the ref gonna say? Oh
No.
yeah, no, we used the men's ball. We thought it would be fun. The Impractical Jokers
Yeah.
were in the ref's
There you
ear
go.
saying, now make him use a men's ball.
Uh huh.
Like, what the hell are they gonna
What
say?
what
What does that
doesn't
mean?
make any sense to me is so as a woman growing up playing basketball, you use the same ball through junior high, high school, college, pro. It's not like men's where you go from a women's ball in junior high to a men's ball in high school or where whenever it is, and then it's men's ball from there on. So like as much as these girls shoot with women's basketballs, you'd think they'd be able to tell the
I
difference.
was gonna say, and I know, like you said, that in men's you usually start with the women's ball and go.
Yeah.
Anybody who's played competitive basketball I mean, if you're playing college basketball, you've played competitive basketball your
Oh,
whole
yeah.
life. Anybody who's done that will tell, will be able to tell instantly.
Yeah.
Absolutely instantly. Like, you take one shot and you're like, oh, that's light. That's easy.
Yeah.
I know we used to do it all the time, and because we would have in our high school, we had one where we kept all the balls, and sometimes they
Mhm.
would get mixed up.
Yeah.
And every single time, you take one shot, it's like, whoa, that's real light. No, that's a women's ball. Like,
Yeah.
you just know it's muscle memory, and that's kind of why I tend to believe the players that yeah, it was a men's ball. And like it's just so embarrassing. And we just got done talking about all the good things, like what Caitlin Clark and players like Aaliyah Boston, what they're doing
Yeah.
for women's basketball, the star power they're bringing, and using a men's ball in the first half is completely
Yeah.
undue. What a joke!
I know.
I mean, and I think Duke head coach, she had stuff to say like it's ridiculous. It would never happen
Yeah.
in men's game, and she is 100% right.
Oh,
Can you
absolutely.
imagine? I mean, it's ACC basketball. It was Duke and
Duke and Florida
Duke
State.
and Florida State.
Yeah.
Duke men's and Florida State men's play a game, and they play half of the women's ball. No shot is that happening. That
Yeah.
is embarrassing for everybody involved. The officials, the conference, like everybody involved. Absolutely
Yeah.
embarrassing. I feel
I
very bad for anyone right now playing in women's basketball, because it's just a huge slap in the face, and the NCAA is saying we don't care about you.
yeah. Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
It's
I
really
just
frustrating.
I just don't cuz obviously you have the 3 referees that do the little bounce test before the game. They didn't notice there's writing on the ball that says what size it is. How do you not recognize it then? And then like, oh, my team hasn't scored in like 5 minutes. That's weird. You weren't like, maybe there's something to look at. The players, I'm pretty sure they voiced their opinion or like, were
During the
like,
game.
coach, this is weird.
Yeah.
And that obviously didn't resolve anything. It's just a very odd situation.
Yeah, and the fact that it's even a question, like, again, we're talking, keep bringing it into the men's game. Like, let's say that this situation were in in a men's game where this did happen, and one of the coaches was like, "Hey, we're pretty sure this is a women's ball," and like the level of doubt, like surrounding it right now. If the roles were reversed and in a men's team said we think this is a women's ball, I guarantee they'd be like, nope, we double check, we triple check, we know that it was a
Yeah.
men's ball. Like here, we're like, I don't know, do you know? I don't know. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think it was. Like there
Exactly.
was just like no levels of like there's no hierarchy to go through. It's
Yeah.
just let's grab it and play. Like no one's checking it. And again, even if it's not true, the response to it
Mhm.
of just the uncertainty, like, oh, we didn't check. I don't know. We didn't
Yeah.
is embarrassing, man. It really is, and it's really frustrating to see. I mean, as a sports fan, as a basketball fan, like
Yeah.
really frustrating. It's very hard to take step forwards in women's sports and women's basketball when you have shit like this
Yeah.
happening where they don't even know if they use the right side ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, really, really frustrating stuff. But they use the right side ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, really, really frustrating stuff. But we're gonna move on to my winner of the
Yeah.
episode, and mine is it's not gonna take too long to talk about, but my winner is gonna be Greg Olson. You know why that is,
Absolutely.
Sam?
Oh yeah.
Well, he asserted himself as one of the best announcers in the NFL right now. He kind of assumed the mantle of Tony Romo when Tony Romo
Yeah.
first came up, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's the best! He's the best!"
Mhm.
Now that talks kind of about Greg Olson, but with Tom Brady officially retiring,
Yeah. Or so
which
we think.
or so we think. I was going to say we held off to talk about it
Yeah.
because we've seen this movie before at Brett Favre, so
Yeah.
we'll wait. And even last year, we've seen
Mhm.
this movie before with Tom, but we're inclined to believe that he is
Yeah.
retiring. But anyway, with him retiring, he is officially going to Fox to be to call games.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's speculating you don't pay all this money for Tom
Yeah.
Brady and put him on the B team. Like that's
Exactly.
not going to happen. But Greg Olson did such a good job with the A team with Kevin Burkhardt. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What's happening to Greg Olson? Well, Tom Brady and Fox announced that partnership will not begin until 2024. So we got ourselves another year of Greg
Very
Olson
nice.
being on the A team with Kevin Burkhardt. So that's great. I mean,
Yeah.
as a viewer, and of course for
Yeah.
Greg Olson, it's great. So definitely glad to see that.
Yeah. Greg Olson, at first I was like, oh, like he got off to a rough start, but he quickly took over kind of the best former player
Mhm.
commentator. He blew Tony
I
Romo
was gonna
out of
say it
the
also helps that Romo
water. Oh yeah.
fell off a cliff harder than.
Oh, because he was when we were doing a gimme five. I think he is on my top five
Yeah, I
announcer.
mean, oh my god, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo were like a dream team,
Yeah,
and now
and then
Romo.
Romo can't shut up.
Yeah,
And
Romo doesn't shut up. Did you see the thing with Romo? How I think CBS called him in for a meeting because
oh, I did
it's
see that.
something about it. I think it's preparation.
Yeah,
He wasn't putting enough
I
preparation,
did
so he
see
was just
that.
kind of spewing out nonsense, which I think the general fans picked up on this year
Yeah,
and grew frustrated with it because yeah, it was definitely annoying. And in came Greg Olson, and we got another year of him. So thank God
sweet.
before Tom Brady waltzes in and of course takes A
What
team
What do you
spot.
think? Do you think Tom is going to be a good commentator?
Dude, I don't know. I
Yeah,
really don't know.
because obviously he has the IQ like nobody's business. But, like, I don't see his personality just being a
Me,
commentator.
me neither, dude. Like, I don't know if maybe this is unfair of me to say, but with the level of success he's had and with the level of like the caliber he's played at, and again, the success he's had, him when he's trying to explain the game, it seems like he would have trouble explaining it to a layman.
Yeah,
Someone who is
a casual
a
fan.
casual fan, just
Yep,
wants to watch some football. And I think that's one of the things Greg Olson has done so well.
absolutely.
And Tom Brady, with his level of IQ, with his level of understanding, might be difficult for him to do that.
Yeah.
And it put in a spot where he doesn't understand how people don't understand,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
could be troubling for the spectator. But I mean, he's been mic'd up before, and like any
Yeah,
pro, like when they did the golf tournament,
yeah.
when he and Brady. So
Mhm.
he's shown he can be pretty down to earth, funny,
Yeah.
just being really personable, which again, not something we see very often from Tom
Mhm.
Brady in such an outward focus, but I think he has it in him. I think there definitely probably will be a learning curve. So
Yeah, it'll be
if
interesting.
he starts off, especially with where Greg Olson is at now, if he starts off rough, I think people are going to come knocking at the door
Yeah,
wanting Greg Olson back. But I'm sure he'll get better over time.
I'm
But
sure.
it's going to be so weird having him in
Yeah,
in the in the broadcast booth. But now for the loser. It should be a perennial loser. I mean, a weekly
a
loser.
weekly loser.
Every single he might be my loser from now until he's fired. It is Brian Ferentz. He
Yeah,
is anyone who pays attention to college football, anyone who has listened to the show, anyone who knows us knows our feelings towards Brian Ferentz, one of the worst offensive coordinators and leader of one of the worst offenses in
one
college
of.
football.
I think he is the
Yeah,
worst.
yeah, there's a very strong case that he, in fact, is just the worst, and his offenses have always been bottom of the barrel. And what's so frustrating is that the defenses are always so good. That's why Iowa is usually in bowl games,
Yep.
usually cracking the top 25, because their defensive coordinator is awesome. Their defensive talent is great, but the offensive coordinator and everything surrounding the offense is just so freaking bad. Well, this year, what seemed like a breaking point in the Iowa football season, again, something we had talked about at
Mm-hmm.
length about just as bad as Brian Ferentz is and has been throughout his career, this past year was a new low.
Yeah.
And again, because the defense was a new high, made this year just so unbelievable. Well, the University of Iowa's response was not to fire Brian
No.
Ferentz. The University of Iowa's response was to restructure his
Of
contract.
course.
Of course. So when you take a look at the contract restructuring, he has a rolling 2-year contract, and they decided to, in order to get another 2 years, he has to meet a few thresholds. Well, his offense needs to reach 25 points per game. If they average 25 points per game, that is criteria 1. Criteria 2, they have to win 7 games. And if he's able to meet those two criteria, he earns that another 2-year rolling contract. And if he doesn't, if he fails to meet either of those two incentives, his contract will officially terminate in 2024.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice. That would be nice. And in terms of financial compensation, his pay is knocked down $50,000. So instead of $900,000, he'll be making $850,000 and
Yeah.
trying to scavenge for scraps because he's struggling to eat on $850,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's take a deeper dive into those thresholds, right? Because
Yeah.
25 points per game and winning 7 games. I don't know what those seem like on the surface, but Sam, do you know how many Division 1 teams averaged at least 120 or averaged at least 25 points per game?
I'm gonna go 122.
So 85 Division
Okay.
1 teams did. 85 teams in the Division 1 average at least 25 points per game.
Is that so? That includes FCS as well, or just FBS?
I think this is just FBS.
Okay.
FBS. So 85 in D1 FBS
Okay.
average 25 points per game. Guess how many teams qualify for bowl games?
Out of the 85
Just in all of
in all of,
FBS, how many make a bowl game?
there's so many bowl games now.
82.
Okay.
So 85 teams average more than 25 points per game. 82 qualify for a bowl game. So their end all be all ultimatum for Brian Ferentz to keep his job is be less than average.
But hell yeah. That's the Iowa way, baby.
Your offense needs to be less than average, and then you can keep your job.
That's so bad. And
that's just criteria number 1. Criteria number 2, they need to win at least 7 games. What did they win last year? 9? 10?
9, I believe.
8 maybe?
Yeah, I think they went 8-4.
8-4.
I think that sounds right. Let me check.
So, a season similar to last year, in which the offense goes and is less than average, and they win 7 games, which they did easily this year,
Yeah, 8-5.
8-5.
Yep.
He gets to keep his job.
Jesus.
And what makes it so funny is that in his press conference, Kirk Ferentz specifically said, you know what? The goal is, because we just said they won 8 games last year. He specifically said, the goal for us is not 8 wins. The goal for us is a Big Ten championship.
Okay.
And then he turns around and said the goal is, you're right. He's not wrong. It's not 8 wins. Apparently, it's 7 wins
Yeah.
because then his son gets to keep his job.
Mm-hmm.
It is just another installment of the absolute joke that is the Iowa coaching staff and Brian Ferentz as a coordinator. It's ridiculous.
The thing that the number 2 prompt just doesn't make sense to me, because that's like what you see in a head coach contract. Like, if you win this amount of games, you get a raise. But okay, last year, you don't say how many games did the defense win for us?
Oh my god.
Every one.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And so that number 2 just,
It doesn't make right. That's what I'm saying.
if Gary Barta had a brain, athletic director of Iowa, for those who don't know, he would list out, we need to hit this many passing yards, this many rushing yards, this many third down conversions, this many red zone conversions. But no, 25
Yeah.
points
Yeah.
below average, like you
Yeah.
said, and have the defense win us 7
Yeah.
games.
And that
It's
again,
ridiculous.
I'm just gonna go right back to it. It's that using that non-offensive stat to evaluate the offensive coordinator, but not just any non-offensive stat, a non-offensive stat which you hit last year with a historically bad offense.
Yeah. It's so bad. So uh Brian Ferentz has been our offensive coordinator since 2017. His offenses have averaged 77th ranked in points per game. So,
Just not good.
but he hits a threshold, Tanner.
Yeah, but he scores 25 points per game and he wins 7 games a year again because winning is an offensive stat.
So, another one. Passing yards since 2017. Here's how Iowa ranked: 93rd, 71st, 68th, 97th, 109th, and of course last year being the worst,
Dead last.
127th. Just absolute. Here, let's just go deeper. Let's go rushing too. 96th, 94th, 97th, 58th, 101, 127. I'm just going to read them all. Completion percentage: 93rd, 67th, 78th, 95th, 114th, 126. If that doesn't tell you how great of a coach Brian Ferentz is, this is the definition of nepotism. That's what
It totally is.
this
Totally is,
is.
man. And I mean, to wrap this up, because we keep saying the same thing over and over again, but in our defense, we are fans of this team.
This is
And
true.
we could talk about this all day long. But I have in front of me the bottom 10 scoring offenses in the country last year.
Okay.
Okay. So at 122, so I'm going to go from 10th lowest to dead last.
Dead last.
So 10th lowest, Boston College fired their offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
9th lowest, Iowa is giving their offensive coordinator a bonus
Hell
for
yeah.
25 points per game, a
And
mark in that which 85 teams hit and only 82
Okay.
bowl games again.
So 25 points. Does that mean offensive?
Sure. Oh, defense can score too. I gotta believe that's offensive points. If they just throw anyway. I'm not
Because
even
there's
gonna.
no. I look. You can find the contract. There's no
Oh
clarification.
my God. Well, we're gonna hope and pray that it's just offensive points. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going. Um, Eighth to last was Rutgers, fired their offensive coordinator. Seventh to last was Georgia Tech, fired offensive coordinator and head coach. Sixth to last, Virginia, they did nothing. So, first team to not do anything, along with Iowa. 127th, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth to last, was Colorado. Fired their head coach and offensive coordinator. Oh, and got the biggest head coaching hire
Mhm.
in college football in a while. Fourth to last was 128th was Northwestern. They also did nothing. Then next is Colorado State, who did nothing. 130th, second to last, was New Mexico, who fired their offensive coordinator. 131 is UMass. So, out of all of those programs I read, the ones that did nothing are Iowa, Virginia, Northwestern, Colorado State, and UMass. Does one of those stand out
Yeah.
compared to the others in level of importance and
Yeah.
level of draw on the level of NFL players? Like Iowa is putting themselves in the same conversation as Virginia, Northwestern, Colorado State, and UMass.
Elite
I
company
think that's a
there.
perfect way to leave off the the Brian Ferentz conversation. Uh, Again, we apologize for just absolutely obliterating that dead horse, but apparently Gary Barta doesn't think it's dead, even though the
Yeah.
entire state of Iowa, entire country knows that that thing has been dead. When was Brian Ferentz hired?
2017.
Since 2018. That thing has been absolutely toast.
Yeah.
But Gary Barta doesn't see it. So again, kind of a long winners and losers to start, but really needed to let everyone out there know what's going on in Iowa.
Yeah.
And frankly, we will no longer stand for it.
Yep.
And before we move on, we are going to take a quick ad break. Have you or any of your friends thought about starting a podcast? We have, and that's exactly why we're here today. If you haven't heard about Anchor from Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. First off, it's free. That's important.
Very nice.
Great way to get started. Anchor has the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And did I mention it's free? Again, great way to get started. So go ahead, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Huge shout out to Anchor for sponsoring this podcast, but we're going to move on, man. But first, before we get to the NFL, because there is a lot to talk about in that league, we are going to touch on one thing. The NBA actually made a splash this week. I think it was yesterday on Sunday, where Brooklyn actually ended up trading Kyrie Irving to the Dallas Mavericks. The official trade was Brooklyn received Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, 2027 second round pick, a 2029 first round pick, which is unprotected, and a 2029 second round pick. And Dallas received Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. But so big moves in the NBA before the deadline,
Yeah.
which is this Thursday coming up. So next week's episode, we're going to have a breakdown of a lot of the trades that go down on the deadline. So we'll cover this one in next week episode, but we thought it was worth mentioning here.
Absolutely.
Big moves in the NBA. But before we even get into the Super Bowl in the NFL, Minnesota Vikings finally have a defensive coordinator, Sam.
There you go,
Of course, I
baby.
got to mention it. Brian Flores, the old coach in Miami, who is currently suing the NFL. Last year was a linebackers coach for the Steelers, and he accepts the defensive coordinator job for the Vikings, which was huge for the Vikings because a lot of their picks and preferred coordinators were taking other jobs pretty quick. So they finally get one, and it should be a good one. He has a history of turning around defenses. Did so with the Dolphins that year. So had to throw that in. I'm
Of
excited to get
course.
Brian Flores up in Minnesota. So Woo, much better than Ed Donatel.
Well, it
Another
can't get worse than Ed
Yeah,
Dontel.
right.
So
It's hard to get worse than that. Another thing I would like to do is I would like to congratulate AJ Green,
yeah,
officially retired
it's crazy.
today, I believe he
Yeah,
did.
Monday.
Bengals and Cardinals legend AJ Green. So, congrats on a great career, and I hope you enjoy retirement. But now it is time to talk about the big game, Sam. Of course, Chiefs and the Eagles are playing in the Super Bowl. If you want to know how close this game is expected to be, both teams are 14-3. Both teams were the number one team in their respective conference. The ESPN matchup predictor has a 50% chance the Chiefs win and a 50% chance the Eagles win. The original line that came out after championship weekend, I believe the Chiefs were favored by 1.5. That has currently flipped to the other side, where currently the Eagles are favored by 1.5. Basically, no one knows who the hell is going to win this
Yeah,
game. So I think before we get into all that, just break down some of the storylines for me, man, because it feels like there are a lot of layers to this.
yeah. There's a ton of storylines. Obviously, kind of the biggest one, honestly, is it's a
The
Kelsey
Kelsey
Bowl.
Bowl. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Jason
Jason.
Kelsey, offensive lineman for the Eagles, and obviously everyone knows Travis Kelsey, tight
I
end
mean,
for the
not
Chiefs.
only are they brothers, but they're brothers who are the best at each of their
Yeah,
position. Like Kelsey's the best center, and Kelsey's the best
yeah,
tight end. So crazy.
yeah, and it's like the first time in history that two brothers are playing in the Super Bowl, so that's obviously a big storyline. um, Coaching rivalry. We have Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid. Andy Reid, when he came to the Chiefs, replaced Sirianni with a guy he brought over from Philly. So you have that. Obviously, Mahomes' health, another one that's huge. But those are kind of the big headlines I've been reading. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I think it is kind of crazy. For me, the craziest thing is the coaching, how they're all intertwined. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you said that when Andy Reid came to Kansas City, he let Sirianni go of the position he was currently
Yeah.
holding. And again, like he came to Kansas City from Philadelphia, so
Yeah.
each coach has coached the other, has
Uh-huh.
been a coach
It's crazy.
on the other franchise before. I've talked about how even everything seems like
Yeah.
it is. I mean, it's a classic narrative where I think everyone can agree that Philly's the better overall team. They have the most talent and
Yeah.
bit more rounded team, but the Kansas City Chiefs have the best player on the planet and the most important position on the
Yeah.
planet. So is it going to be the best player? Is it going to be the best team? Right.
Yeah.
That's another storyline. And to try and get down to X's and O's, I mean, I think the matchup I'm looking at the most is easily going to be, I mean, the Eagles' run game versus the Chiefs' run defense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best part about this Eagles offense is the efficiency at which they run the ball. The best offensive line in the NFL. Doesn't matter. They have one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL. And behind that offensive line and with the threat of that quarterback, it doesn't really matter who you plug in as a running back. I mean,
Yeah.
Miles Sanders isn't bad, but Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell, they're all doing really well right now on the back of that offensive line and the threat of Jalen Hurts. And with the number one rushing team, the Chiefs have a tall task in front of them. With Chris Jones, a known defensive star, had the
Yeah.
game of his life against Cincinnati a week ago. But that was mainly in the pass rush because Cincinnati didn't run the ball a lot. Well,
Yeah.
Philly's going to run the ball a lot, and
Uh-huh.
can he stop that run against the best offensive line in the league? That's going to be a big thing. I believe the Chiefs were seventh or eighth best in the league in run defense, so there's an indication that they might be able to do it.
Mhm.
But again, Philly is number one rushing offense, so if they're able to do that, they're able to make Jalen Hurts drop back, throw the ball. I'm thinking the Chiefs might be able to come away with this.
Yeah. I now looking, you talked about what the Eagles kind of get going on their offensive side and what the Chiefs need to do on the defensive side. For the Eagles defense, I think the most important things you got to focus on is pressure Patrick Mahomes and make him run because
Test that ankle.
test that
Yeah.
ankle. And two, contain, not even shut down, but contain Travis Kelce from making
Mhm.
the explosive plays. Because let's be honest, he is their number one playmaker, and there's not a whole lot around him. I mean, you have Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith, solid players, but nothing
Again,
like what
yeah.
Travis
So,
Kelce is.
similar to what I was saying, like, yeah, like Jalen Hurts throwing the ball has been a solid player, but make him consistently do that. Make the Chiefs consistently throw to Juju Smith-Schuster, to Marquez
Yeah.
Valdez-Scantling, to Jerick McKinnon.
Hmm.
This Chiefs running game is, I don't want to say non-existent because Isaiah Pacheco has actually done a decent
And
job back there, but I mean, McKinnon's basically been an all receiving
yeah.
back. Pacheco has had a few good downs, but again, like,
So I do want to mention Clyde Edwards-Helaire is supposed to be
he's
back for a
supposed to be
Super
back.
Bowl.
Wow, I did not know. See, that might
Yeah.
change some things now.
Yeah.
I
At
mean,
least I
I'm not
thought,
saying
yeah,
Edwards-Helaire is like
ESPN.
Derrick Henry, but it's just
It's
it's
a
another
big
layer.
upgrade from what they had.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's another layer, and someone who, again, has been there before and has ran the ball in the or actually, I'm not sure he'd been there before because I think they might have drafted him after they won the Super Bowl. But I think he was on the team that played the Buccaneers. So I
I
think he's
believe
played
so.
in a Super Bowl. I don't think he's won a Super
Yeah.
Bowl, but he's played in one before, we think, and he's just a better runner of the football than Isaiah Pacheco. No
Yeah.
slight to him, but Hilaire's just been doing it
Yeah.
for longer in the NFL. But yeah, I mean, and again, if Kansas City is somehow able to run the football, do not expect it with that Eagles defensive front. But that opens up a lot of things because the Eagles are the number one pass rush in the NFL. That defensive line led the league in sacks by
Yeah.
a large margin. So if you're able to establish some sort of run, they have to respect that as well. You might be able to scheme your way into some um, cleaner pockets for Patrick Mahomes. But like you said, if they're able to continuously get penetration, force him out of the pocket, test that ankle, make him run, make him try and navigate and make plays, at some point that ankle might give out. So that's kind of the key to success on the Philly side of the ball defensively. But now that we've all broken this down, the storylines, the X's and O's, Sam, who wins this football game?
Yeah. I think Patrick Mahomes gets it done. The Chiefs pull this out. I got it in a high scoring affair. I think both defense are going to struggle to contain these explosive offenses. Talking is hard. I got the Chiefs winning 42-35.
Damn, that is a lot of points.
Yeah.
There's a lot of points. Does Mahomes win MVP?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm actually going to go a different route, and full disclosure, this is an emotional hedge, 100%. I will be dressed head to toe in red all week next week. The biggest Chiefs fan on earth next week. That is how much I dislike Philly, as you all know, if you follow us on social media or listened to the episode. But I think I'm going to go with what I and a lot of people think are the better team in Philly. I'm going to go with the Eagles winning this one. I'm going to go 38-34 in favor of Philadelphia. And I've been trying to find a way to convince myself of giving an MVP that's not a quarterback.
Yeah.
But when I look at the Eagles roster, the way they rotate running backs, I just think it's going to be Jalen Hurts between what
Yeah.
he's able to do throwing the football and what he's going to be able to do with his legs. I think in order for them to score 38 points, Jalen Hurts is going to have a big game. And if so, he will win MVP. So I've got 38-34 Eagles, and Jalen Hurts is the MVP. Yes, I did throw up a little saying that. But who knows? Maybe my prediction does come true, and the Empire State Building celebrates by
Yeah.
lighting up green once again because those lights are installed anyway. So that seems to be the way we are going. But now we got our predictions, man. Any last thoughts on the Super Bowl?
One of the storylines that we missed.
What's that?
This is the first matchup between two African American
Yes,
quarterbacks.
we did forget that. I mean, it's kind of shocking that it's that what are we
Yeah,
Super
right?
Bowl 57? I think I
Yeah.
read some numerals correctly. 57.
Yeah.
Super Bowl 57. Yeah, it's definitely surprising, but I mean, it's cool
Yeah,
milestone
very cool.
that is being taken down, and two of the best at it in their position
Yeah.
are African American quarterbacks. So that's pretty cool. But anything else about this game, man?
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs! Absolutely. Good take there, Sam. Make
Yeah.
sure you get in. Make sure you get in your props. You know
Oh yeah.
the best time to be a sports bettor, of course, is the Super Bowl. The ridiculous props. I saw one that where I think you can bet on a prop on if Tom Cruise is going to parachute down and hand deliver the game
Yeah.
ball. I think Noah is currently like minus like 15,000 or something.
I saw Will Andy Reid eat a cheeseburger during the
See, that's a good
podcast.
one. That's a good one. And you really eat a cheeseburger before the broadcast ends, because that not only is you need to have the Chiefs win, but you need to, so that's a double faceted there.
Yeah,
But yeah, make sure responsibly, of course. Make sure you get
of
your
course.
snacks, and make sure you really relish and just savor the fact that this is the last football game we are going to have for a very, very long time. It's real sad, but it'll be back before you know it. When we get into the spring and summer, we'll have playoff basketball, and then
Dude, you're disrespecting the USFL right now, and I will
okay,
not stand for it.
I am guilty of disrespecting the SFL right now. I am. So hopefully they prove me wrong, man. I can get into some USFL. Big
Yeah,
St. Louis Battlehawks
yeah,
guy.
you would be.
Yeah, that's a team, right? The St. Louis
It
Battlehawks.
is,
Vegas Vipers, I think, is another one.
dude. There's some wild names.
Yeah, because Anyway, I'm not even gonna try and go down that road. But the last real football game we
Yeah,
have for a very long time, but it'll be back before you know it. Of course, we'll have off-season coverage, and then of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
like we said, moving into playoff basketball, and then of course, baseball season. Sam,
Lord help us.
yes. For
There you go.
episode 81 of Crunch Time, make sure to follow the podcast at crunchtime_pod on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. We're being a lot more active on those nowadays. Now that we got our YouTube figured out, we're doing these in person with a YouTube video. We're posting more on the TikTok. TikToks are also going on Instagram stories. So make sure you're following us there. You can get the best highlights, the best clips, the bloopers, the outtakes. It'll all be on our social media. Of course, don't forget to follow the YouTube as well. Crunch Time with the N326 Duo. Should be a hard name to memorize. If you found our podcast, you can probably find the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You can follow Sam at
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at SamGodsey29 and then Instagram Sam_Godsey21.
and you can follow me at tdislin22 on both Twitter and Instagram. Sam is always asking for questions the night before we record, so make sure you respond to those from his social media that he just said. And of course, let us know what you guys think. I mean, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? What storylines are you paying attention to? What props are you betting? Are there any crazy ones that you decided to bet? Also, you can let us know your first thoughts of the Kyrie Irving trade. Again, more to come next week when we finally pass that trade deadline and more deals come into fruition. But we're always trying to hear from you, whether it's a question, whether it's a comment, a response to something we talk about. Feel free to always tweet at us, DM us personally, or through the podcast. But thanks so much for listening to this episode. The clock has run out on this one, but we'll see you in the next one on Crunch Time.